Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Linda and I'm a product designer from Toronto. So for today's video, by popular request, I'll be going through a design challenge that I received during a job interview for an internship. So let's get right into the video. So what was the design challenge? So the goal of the exercise was to gauge my ability to use design thinking to break down a problem. This exercise is not to judge a particular end solution or evaluate their visual design skills. It was more focused on the thought process, the ability to think of new features, and communication skills when working through a design problem. So basically what I got from this was that they're not looking for any UI visual design skills. So what was the design problem? You have just been hired as a new UX UI designer for a brand new startup company. After much research, data shows that a lot of people struggle to find a roommate. The company decides that the best way to approach this is by creating a mobile app that solves this problem and target those currently searching for a roommate. The company's main goal is to help people find roommates. So you've been tasked to help design the experience of finding an ideal roommate in an area. So the task itself was to design a mobile product experience that makes it safe to find the ideal roommate in your city. Consider the following in your presentations. So these are the requirements that I need for the actual presentation itself. Buyer personas, user journey, the features that you believe are required to solve this issue, wireframes for your design, and the thought process behind your design. I only had 4 days to finish this design challenge, which is not a lot of time obviously, so I had to prioritize what exactly I had to do and how to do it the best way possible. Now let's go into how I solved this actual problem itself. And mind you, this was done over a year ago, so ever since then and looking at it now, there are a lot of things that I would change and improve on, which I'll cover at the very end of the video. Okay, so this is the roommate UX case study that I did, and let's go through defining the problem. We already know the problem, and that is that people struggle to find a roommate, but we don't know why it's a struggle in the first place. So I want to make some assumptions on my part in terms of kind of my own experience being a roommate and finding a roommate as well. So the first assumption is that both people don't commit to getting to know each other before moving in. Second is that people search last minute and end up with bad fits. And third, there's no platform that does it all and well. So I did some user research to see if any of these pain points were true and if other pain points would come up, and just to kind of validate if the pain points and assumptions that I had are actually true as well. So the user research that I did, because from time constraints, I conducted an online survey and asked 8 people that I knew who had or has a roommate. And the questions were based on, how they found a roommate and their struggles in finding one. So as you can see, I asked questions along the lines of when looking for a roommate, where do they go to find them? Responses like Facebook, they ask friends, or they post on social media. What do you ask potential roommates? And these are the responses that they had. And then, how far in advance do you look for a roommate before moving in? So they were also asked if they had any frustrations when trying to find a roommate, and these were the responses. First was that they can't tell if they would be a good roommate, there's no platform, and then lastly, people don't seem to be committed until it's necessary. So with this user research that I did, I believe I only spent maybe a day on it. I basically created some personas around who the target user might be for the mobile app that I'm creating. So basically I came up with 3 different personas. The first person is Peter Cam, is someone who wants a good roommate but decides to look for one last minute. So this persona explains kind of his needs, the frustrations, kind of his personality and his feelings around finding roommates. Second persona was Kate Dawn, and Kate Dawn is someone who wants a good roommate and prepares way in advance, but essentially the other person might kind of lie or beat around the bush about who they actually are and the living standards as a roommate. And then lastly, the last persona that I had is Lisa Hind, who is someone has no living standards and will do whatever she can to find a place to live. So basically with these 3 personas, it gave me a better idea of who the person is in order to use my app that I'm creating, and how can I help these users' frustrations and needs within the app itself. So before I started creating wireframes, I created a current flow of how people actually find roommates at the moment. And as you can see, they go through a numerous amount of steps. So like user looks for a roommate, and these are the main methods and kind of the pain points. and then they talk to potential roommate, main method, pain points, and then so on until they move in with their roommate. So this also gives me a better understanding of what is actually out there at the moment and what are the pain points that people have. So with the research, I kind of revised the pain points that I had from earlier, and this is what I came up with. Users don't have a platform. Users do all of their getting to know each other online and not in person. They have problems with roommates until living with them, and they don't have references. So again, with these pain points in mind, I went ahead and started to create wireframes on Sketch and create my final design. So I will go through my final design with you guys as well. This is the final design that I created for this mobile app. I put it into prototype to kind of just show you guys more of the interactions of the app itself. So you would log in here, and then basically, because you want to help them find better roommates and have the ease to do so, I created this onboarding system to help with that. So you would say that, which one best describes you. I'm looking for a place to live and roommates. So you would click that. You would click through kind of what type of house you're looking for, the price, location, and of course the different features you're looking for. And then you would click next, and then you would go through a series of questions determining who you are and what you're essentially looking for in your next roommate. So basically for myself, I would say I'm an extrovert, I would say I'm an early riser, I'm a student, I'm, a clean freak, and then lastly, I'm more of a Netflix person. I stay in, so I would click this, and then this would generate an application and kind of your profile to show who you are. And once I complete the profile, I have a prompt that shows up asking if you would like to filter by people similar to you or set your own filters. So for myself, I would like to find people like me. I would click this, and then this would load into people who are exactly like me. And let's say, actually, I want to find someone who's a bit more different. I would go into filters and filter out, again, the person. So gender, age, their budget, when they're looking for a roommate, and then click next. And then you can select traits that you want in your roommate. So whether they're clean, partier, employed, and then there's a lot more options at the very bottom as well. So then you would search this person, and then you would have more options coming up with different people that you can look through. So let's say you're happy with your search and you feel as though that Amy Alvarado is someone that you might be interested in. So you click their profile, and then it would show basically who they are, their background, budget, again with all the filters that they have, and then a little bit more about themselves, of course. So if this sounds perfect to you, you would kind of like their page, for example, and then this will take you to the messaging tab here, which shows you all the recent pics that you had at the very top, so every liked person you had. So let's say I want to continue the conversation with Hannah here. I can do that by clicking onto her name, and then we have our conversation. So this up here is just kind of a reminder for the user to, keep in mind that you should check for references. You should also hang out with them in person and kind of search in advance. So this is always fixed onto the screen to kind of remind the user once they talk to the person as well. So that is kind of the user flows that I created for the app, the most important features that I wanted to add to help people find better roommates. And of course, you have your profile as well. So what did I learn from this design challenge? And essentially the biggest thing was that because I had such a time constraint, I had to learn what to focus on in such a short amount of time. Figuring out what parts of the design process was necessary or what parts of the design process I could skip out. So for example, I didn't really prioritize user research as much because I knew that there was research done in the beginning, just not for the part behind the reason why it was a struggle, which is why I did some small research at the very beginning. Secondly, I didn't really bother to do any sketches or low fidelity wireframes because again, that would cost me time and I didn't have that. So I went straight into creating a final design and then making tweaks and changes here and there while I was working on it. So looking back at it now, there are so many different things that I would change and done differently because it's been a whole year. I just kind of recently looked back at this design challenge and just saw my own work, and the very first thing I would change is to stick to one buyer persona. If you look back in my design challenge, in my presentation, I had 3, and I don't think that was really necessary. I think it made it a bit more confusing, if anything, because it didn't really define who my actual target user was, especially for my mobile app. Because they all had kind of different needs and frustrations. The second thing that I would change is I would have took a bit more time into thinking the different user flows within the app. So when I was going through the app now, the filters functionality doesn't really make sense. Basically, I had like 2 different pages for the filters, which is not really best practice in design, so I would definitely change that. And then the second thing is when clicking on a profile, there's no actual way to message the person other than liking their page. I think I could have put more thought into how that interaction actually works. Just because there's a whole tab fully dedicated to messaging anyways, I could probably make that a lot more prominent on the profile page. The last thing I would change would be putting a lot more time in testing the actual app itself. To actually validate the design. This would have probably helped find usability issues and see if the app is actually functional. I would definitely put some more time into focusing on that. But yeah, I mean, it was really fun to go through this design challenge again. It's definitely a refresher from what I did a year ago, and a lot of kind of realizations of, you know, my improvements over the year, so it's great to see. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!